Okay, but last but not least, please welcome on stage Elena Lalova from Exeron.
International Power Supply.
Okay, so
okay.
Exeron...
I will present it. It's
yes.
okay. It's fine. Hello, everyone. Thank you for remaining for the very last presentation. I hope it's going to be an interesting one. It will give you a different perspective from what you have heard during the whole day. So hopefully you will learn something new. Is the presentation on? Okay. So my name is Elena Lalova. I'm head of the mini-grid division in International Power Supply, which is a company, manufacturer and developer of energy conversion technologies for off-grid electrification. And Exeron is in fact the technology that gives the capability of being off the grid and have the option of being independent. Linking this presentation to the topic of the current discussion today about liberty, let's put the liberty in the context of electricity sector. What does liberty mean in the electricity sector? This is the freedom to make informative choices. And we have to differentiate between developed and developing world. In the developed world, being off the grid is a matter of personal choice, and it's a matter of being not connected to the national grid. It is possible, the technology is on the market, and I will show you with some real cases how this is achievable. But for the developing world, being off the grid is their only choice. They don't have other choice towards economic development. Because, as Natalia said, there is 1.1 billion people around the world that do not have access to electricity. And this is statistical data from 2016. 84% of those are living in Africa. So these communities, they are with dispersed population, and national grid is not planning to extend their network in these communities. So their only option towards economic development is basically being off the grid and finding the technology to provide a solution. IPS is one of the companies that is providing the technological solution, and let me just briefly introduce you to this company. It's a company with almost 30 years of experience on this market, and Exeron was invented 10 years ago at the beginning for military applications, and after realizing the huge potential of off-grid electrification, the inventors decided to adjust it for applications in different sectors of the economy. So far, we have projects in 58 countries on all 7 continents. These are all off-grid projects. All the technologies and the products that are manufactured by IPS, which is a Bulgarian company, are military certified, and they can be deployed at very harsh ambient conditions, dusty environment, high temperatures, and a lot of humidity. So in Africa, where there are a lot of deserts, this technology really performs as expected. The technology, which is a Bulgarian invention, has received an international award in 2014 at the Intersolar competition in Munich. This is the technology over there, which is a fully integrated modular system that integrates renewable sources combined with energy storage in order to supply electricity to the final consumer at the point of demand, absolutely independently from the grid. The other international recognition, probably most of you have heard about the Hyperloop competition organized by Elon Musk. This was last year. Out of 107 candidates, just 6 teams were selected as winners, and IPS, part of the R-Loop team, was awarded with the Innovation Award for the charging mechanism of the battery for the pot for the transportation. Again, it's like an alternative solution for electrifying, in this case, a transportation device. After these international recognitions, we got the support of a lot of international investors. So now, with 2 investment funds, so one is the venture capital group Post-Scriptum and the co-investment fund Blackpeak Capital, we are very well positioned in the market and have the capability to supply more solutions around the world. Together with our strategic investor Ineos, we can cover basically any off-grid market around the world. An interesting fact, which will be like proof of our belief that being off the grid is a sustainable solution. We are building a factory for the manufacturing of the serial manufacturing of Exeron, and this factory is going to be absolutely self-sufficient. So this factory will be off the grid, although economically in developed world it doesn't make sense to be off the grid, but it's a matter of choice. You can do it at a certain cost. The Exeron unit is a unique system, and why I say it is a system, because all the modules which are within this technology communicate between themselves, and they communicate between themselves through a software which is invented by the founders of IPS, and this software tells the different input sources when and how to generate electricity, when and how the battery will be charged and discharged in order to supply electricity to the final consumer. With this advanced software, basically we increase the life of the battery with up to 30% and make the turnkey solution very sustainable and efficient for the final consumer. All the modules are plug and play and hot swappable, so basically your system operates 100% of the time without any interruptions, and this is the reason why it's a NATO military certified technology, because the reliability is extremely high. This is the example of how many different energy generation technology can be integrated with this Exeron unit. Basically, on the one side is the renewable systems in the form of solar installation or wind installation. At the same time, you can use the conventional generation, which is the diesel generation, the diesel gensets, and the electricity grid, if it is available. There are cases where this technology is applied in regions where there is electricity grid, but it's not reliable, or the clients do not want to be reliant on the grid. And this system gives you the capability to operate the grid in the way that you decide. The applications are in multiple economic sectors. So we provide off-grid electrification in the telecom sector, powering telecom towers. In the residential sector, mini-grids is electrification of rural areas in Africa and Southeast Asia, where, as I said, they don't have other option, basically, because the grid will never reach their location. We provide off-grid electrification for the oil and gas sector, and a lot of off-grid projects we have had in the defense sector, because most of the military bases are very remotely located and they need a reliable technology that will be used for their self-consumption. As well as in the industrial sector, there are a lot of desalination plants that are using off-grid electrification as well. For the electrification of rural areas, and mainly how we design mini-grids, we are using these containerized solutions, which are turnkey a solution for off-grid electrification. Basically, the energy conversion unit, the Exeron, it's this one, is integrated into a container together with the energy storage. These are the batteries which store the excessive renewable energy when it is not used. So in continuation to what Natalia has said, basically you never lose the renewable power with this technology, because the technology decides when this renewable power is applicable and it makes sense to be stored in the energy storage medium. And with the further advancement of technologies within the renewable sector, this will become even more popular and affordable solution, not only in the off-grid areas, but everywhere around the world, even in the electrified regions. These are another examples of like smaller solutions in terms of scale. For example, the small container over here, it is completely sufficient to power one house. Yeah, even more than one house if the consumers are not in a very developed region, because there are regions in Africa where the consumption of a house is just 2 kilowatts. So it really depends on the economic development of the region. Because I said that Exeron is a fully integrated system, we are proud to announce that everything that we produce basically communicate between themselves. Even the containers that we have designed are able to communicate between themselves, and we can scale up a system from 2 kilowatts up to 65 megawatts. So this is a big achievement and could solve a lot of problems in the off-grid electrification market. We have invented and designed a monitoring platform which gives you in real-time data of how your system performs. So this in the middle is the Exeron unit, which manages the input sources and decides when and how the battery will be charged and discharged. So in any moment, you know your own generation source, how it's performing. This software could give you multiple statistical data of how your system is performing in the last 24 hours or within months behind. So we come to the interesting part, which are the real projects. So this is an example of a military base on the border of Paraguay and Bolivia. So as you can see, with this tiny footprint of the Exeron unit, we have powered the whole military base with the output power of this Exeron unit, 36 kilowatts. The input sources are the solar installation, 42 kilowatt peak power, and the energy storage medium is the battery. We optimize the use of a diesel generator in such a way that in most of the time, basically this military base runs fully on renewable power. This is another project in Indonesia. Here, they had the option to be connected to the grid, but the Ministry of Transportation wanted to claim their policy towards sustainable development and have installed this system to integrate the grid within the architecture and at the same time to use renewable power when it is available. So this is an example of an electrified region where this off-grid system has an application as well. This is a safari lodge in South Africa, remotely located, where the only option was to have an off-grid installation. And the owner of the safari lodge wanted to have an uninterrupted power supply 24 hours a day. And since it's like a high-end residential sector, the reliability of the system was very important. 100% renewable solution in Nigeria, this is powering a college. In this case, it's like 100% renewable solution, so only solar installation, batteries, and the energy conversions technology Exeron, fully off the grid. And this is another example of a choice, how you can be partially off the grid and you can manage the grid that you're using on your site. In this luxurious villa in Greece, basically, you are connected to the grid, but at the same time, you have an off-grid installation that harnesses the energy generated from your national grid provider in combination with your solar installation in order to power your off-taker, in this case, this luxurious villa, in the most optimal way. So I hope all these examples were interesting to you, so I'm available for any questions and comments that you may have.
So the Exeron units, are they produced in Bulgaria?
They are produced in Bulgaria, and we should be really proud that we have a really added value in this whole market segment. They are developed, manufactured, everything, and further researched for adaptation of the market.
That's
so
amazing.
It's a Bulgarian technology.
Made in Bulgaria and deployed on the border of Paraguay, Nigeria, and South Africa.
58 countries on all 7 continents. Yeah.
And you showed you're building a new plant in Kırjali. Is that the?
This is a manufacturing facility in Kırjali, which will be used.
Or it's a new one?
It's a new one.
It's a new one.
Yeah,
okay.
It's under construction. It should be ready by the end of this year.
Okay, so you're continuing investing in Bulgaria to build new capacity.
Yes, the Bulgaria is going to be the hub where the technology will be further developed, and there will be a serial manufacturing, but the markets are in the developing world, because this is where the off-grid electricity makes sense economically.
So what's your next target? Do you want to put one of your units on the moon, or?
Probably.
I think we should. I think we should. Well, thank you. This was our last speaker for the day. A round of applause for Elena.
Thank you.
And I think we're meant to have 5 minutes of closing remarks. Ilian, would you like to come on stage? If you're still able to stand.
So, another 5 minutes? No, of course not. I just want to say, every single one of you here, thank you for the trust and for your time and for dedication and being so curious. And I'm more than happy with the result of this conference, and definitely will consider for the next year, and you will be among the first to know for the next edition. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Terra, Launch Hub, Krypton, PEP Foundation. You guys are awesome. And, well, let's have a party.